My name is Andrea Sherrill Evans. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm a visual artist and educator, originally from Tempe, Arizona, and I live and work in Baltimore, Maryland. In addition to my art practice, I'm an avid gardener, a Maryland master naturalist, and I am really connected to slow processes of making, which all really inform my work. I received my BFA in painting at Arizona State University and went on to study at the School of the Museum of Fine Arts, Boston, and Tufts University, where I focused more on studio art in general. So my work as a whole has really, for a long time, been focusing on the human relationship to the natural world, and in particular, I've been interested in the ways that we're really interconnected. Been looking at the kinds of impacts that humans have on nature, whether from the introduction of non-native plant species to different places, to the impacts of architecture and city expansion, as well as larger scale things like climate change. Drawing really is at the core of my work and the core of my practice. I kind of feel like I rediscovered that process in grad school and really sort of fell in love with the way that drawing can be everything from initial sketch to something that could be as laborious as any other medium. And I really use drawing as a way to look closely at things, to observe. I see it as a process of learning and thinking, and it's a way for me to really have space for reflection. In recent years, as a way to try to bridge and make connections with the ideas in my work and the materials that I'm using, I've started making inks and watercolors, charcoal and paper with plant materials that I've been gathering from different locations, and have been using these as a way to really embed the kind of aspects of a place and the plants of a place into the work itself. It's been a way for me to kind of make work that feels like it's responsive and reflecting the kind of places where the works were gathered originally. And it's been a process that's really allowed for a lot of experimentation and play and discovery. It's also been a process that's allowed me to think about, or invited me to think about my own relationship and role in these environments and how I can kind of build a reciprocal relationship with place. The show New Growth is an entirely new body of drawings that were made specifically for this exhibition. All the work centers around the area surrounding IA&A at Hillyer, sort of the city landscape that's around this area. And the work is made with both plant materials that were gathered in the surrounding neighborhoods and also imagery that is kind of pulled from the neighborhood as well. And in this work, I've been observing and thinking about and looking at the relationships between the built environment, the ways that nature is a part of that, both through kind of landscaped and highly designed areas and gardens, as well as the sort of wilder bits of what might be considered weeds that are popping up along the sidewalks and the roads. And so the process of making this work, I made a number of visits down to the area and walked around the neighborhoods, just looking around and observing, taking photographs, gathering plant material either in abundance, gathering mulberries in May, or plants that were kind of towards the end of their life cycle. So gathering ornamental grasses that were being cut back in an area to allow for new growth in late winter. And those materials were brought back to my studio in Baltimore, and I used them to make a variety of different inks, all derived from the plants. incorporating different modifiers like alum, soda ash, and iron to create a wider palette. Those different modifiers change the pH or react with the tannins and the inks, and so you can actually get a wider range of color from a single plant source. I also took grass material and bast fiber material that I gathered and incorporated that with cotton and abaca pulp, making paper at Pyramid Atlantic Art Center's paper making studio in Hyattsville. Also working with dyeing pulp with charcoal that was made from fallen branches that were gathered in the areas around Hillyer. And then this whole palette of materials was then used to create drawings that, again, are sort of pulled from imagery that I gathered in the surrounding neighborhoods, things that caught my attention, details in the cityscape. And so the place is really embedded in the work directly. The drawings themselves kind of tease out different elements, different parts of the image. Certain things are left out and omitted, certain things are brought forward as a way to kind of highlight different aspects and to really kind of allow us to see things in a different way. For the installation of the work is really scattered over the wall and at different distances and different heights. And I was really thinking about creating an installation that could mirror the process of walking through the neighborhood and observing and seeing things, as well as allowing for discovery and connections to be made across the body of work. All the work really influences and informs one another. Also, as part of the show, I have a series of inks and paper samples, and I really see those as a kind of key or legend to the work that gives some insight into the process of how the materials were made. And so a viewer might be able to kind of make a connection with a color or materiality of paper and then see that in the work itself. Many of the inks themselves may change color over time. They're not necessarily light, fast, or archival. And so I'm interested in the way that the work itself has a kind of ephemerality and that it kind of reflects the way the changes of seasons and the processes of growth and decay that take place in the natural world. I hope that visitors that see this exhibition will take away a kind of sparked curiosity, that they might, recognize something in the work that they've seen, in the neighborhood surrounding the gallery, or it might remind them of something in their own, kind of home environment. I hope that maybe people might be interested in the different plants that are a part of this work, and it might provide a place to learn more about different plants and local ecosystems and their histories, their role in the ecosystem, how they maybe got there in the first place, as well as their potential for color and fiber uses. I hope that people will feel, after seeing this show, more connected as a part of nature as opposed to separate from it, that they will feel a sense of agency and responsibility for our shared environment, and will hopefully, have that kind of sense of impact to carry with them. We can walk outside the gallery doors and see, growing up amongst the cracks between the bricks, all sorts of different life and growth. So I hope people will kind of just have a new kind of perspective to carry with them out into the world. So I'm looking forward to getting back into work related to the area around my home, after having a show and working with a space elsewhere. It's always nice to kind of return back to my own garden and a space that I'm able to observe and pay attention to over different seasons and growth cycles. I've been growing some dying plants in my garden, like Dyer's coreopsis and marigold, and I've been saving the flowers, and I'm excited to be making some inks and lake pigments with those. I have some mugwort that's growing up in a garden bed and starting to kind of take over a little bit, and I want to try making paper with that. So I really kind of see myself shifting back into the experimental phase of my work. It's a place where I don't quite know what's going to happen, but I love to experiment with new processes and to learn about new plants. And it really, will be the sort of research that will end up guiding whatever next body of work that I make.